Hey guys, so this is Prince Koura, one scale bust by Jeff Yagher. So Prince Koura was in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad back in 1973, and he was portrayed by Tom Baker. And this kit is currently available for Monsters in Motion if you're interested in building it. Very good likeness of Tom Baker. And that's the satisfying thing about this kit. A lot of times when you get a garage kit, the sculptor does a pretty close job of trying to match the character in the movie, but there isn't always a perfect match. And here I think Jeff Yagher did an outstanding job. And the casting on this is outstanding as well. Very little filling you'll have to do. There'll be no sanding involved that I can see right now. But overall, it's going to be more like prime it and paint it type of model kit, which is great to work on something quickly. Now, the base comes in two parts. So this is meant to go in the back here and has Jeff Yagher's signature. I'm not too sure why it wasn't put together initially. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure, but this is very flat, and it's also very smooth. And the back here is smooth too. So in order to glue these two parts together, I'll be roughing it up with some really rough sandpaper. More like scratching than sanding. Like I said, I don't think you really need to sand. As far as filling in, there's almost no places I've found so far where I'm going to have to fill in, with the exception of once I get this piece on, there'll be a little bit of a gap. And you can see the gap between the back piece and the base itself. To fill in the gap, there's a lot of options out there nowadays, but my plan is to use this light curing putty. And I've used this putty in the past. And one thing I like about the light curing putty is it's a resin putty, which will adhere very well to these parts, and it'll make it, once you shine the UV light on it, it will make a very strong molecular bond, which is good. In terms of sanding it, I may end up having to do a little bit of sanding, but this particular putty is a little bit on the rougher side, I found, which is perfect for this base because this is a rough base. I don't want something smooth going in the gap. So, like I said, this is not a very difficult project to put together. Painting-wise, it should be pretty straightforward. I do recommend either watching the movie or seeing the images online before you start painting any project, and this one in particular. So that's where I'll be using my references from the actual movie itself. I've seen some people who've already assembled this kit, and in terms of what they use for painting options, I kind of like as well. I agree with. I was envisioning the base itself to be more like a sand color, and using some washes and possibly some pastels. Certainly I'll be using some pastels on his face to add a little bit of shadowing too. And as far as the costume is concerned, it's probably going to be more paint than pastels, although I might use a little bit of pastels in some of the shadowed areas here. So when we come back, I'll have the base assembled and probably these parts primed. Once I got the part glued on, I then use the light curing putty. And as I said, it's kind of on the rough side. So I was able to fill in the gap all along the side here. And didn't do any sanding, just put the light curing putty on and then cured it, with a UV light. And quite frankly, it really fits right in there. Now that I got it primed, it's a hard, unless you exactly know where the 2 point pieces are joined, it's a little hard to tell the difference. Now, I did have to adjust the bottom part here. This piece stuck out further from the base, so I just packed in the putty and cured it on multiple layers until I was able to get it to match there. And then I had a similar issue here. There was a big gap between this piece and this piece, and it still required multiple layers of light curing putty to go in there and fill in that gap. But as I said, it's on the rough side, which is exactly what I wanted for this piece. The other thing I ended up having to do is I had to reevaluate uh, the detail on the front of his shirt. Unfortunately, as I started looking at it, unfortunately the buttons, especially, were all sort of had big holes in it. I think a couple of these buttons were missing too. That should have been there. So I ended up having to rebuild that. So I used the light curing putty for that as well. Just packed that in and then carefully sanded it down to form these individual buttons. And I think they came out pretty good. There were a little bit of parts that were missing on the detail here and here as well. And again, I used the putty just to fill in those gaps, and then carefully sanded and filed it. Altogether, I think I spent about an hour just fixing up the detail here to a level of satisfaction. Once I got that done, obviously I primed everything, and it looks pretty good at this stage. All right, so I think I'm going to set him aside for now, and I'm just going to work on the base. So my initial thought is I want to use this brown sand as a base coat for the base. And then I'll start evaluating what I want to do for shading around the detail here. I may even, I don't know, I'm trying to think. Definitely the overall, I want it to be a brown sand base coat. And then in here, obviously I want him, or this part, to be gold. I may end up painting these as well. I don't know. I'm going to play around with it for now. So anyways, so my brown sand is going to be the base coat, and let's see how it looks from there. Okay, guys, so what you're looking at is the base at an early stage right now. So first I painted the entire base a brown sand color. Once that was dry, I then used a matte varnish on it. And then I used a couple of different colors on it. First, I started off with places like the front here and whatever these things are on the side with a ochre brown. And then the bottom of the base down here, I used a tan earth. So I just wanted to have different colors of brown on this base. So the next step I'm going to do is I'm going to use a brown wash. So I made the brown wash myself. I used a brown wash right out of the tube and mixed it with my paint thinner. So now, let me make sure so I'm using a makeup sponge just to pick it up. So I'm just going to just rub it on here, get it in all the places here, and then I think I'll put it down here as well. Sorry about the shaking here. All right, let's cover it up and just dab it off. Hopefully it gets into all the creases. So looks like, yeah, there we go. Looks like it's giving a little bit of, making it a little bit better in terms of some of the coloring going on. Obviously, I painted a matte varnish on these colors before I apply this brown wash. And that's because I just want to protect it in case I change my mind. I'll put a little bit on the top here. There we go. Nice thing about doing a wash is you can always add more to it. Of course, that's the other thing to do, is to make sure you're flat coating um, the piece before you start adding the wash. And let me do the side here. I'm not 100% sure like how dark I want this to be either at this stage. So that's why one advantage of going with washes is um, gives you an option to decide like how dark do you want this thing to be. What I'm trying to achieve, I'm not 100% sure what I'm trying to achieve as I start talking through this. Do I want it to be really, really dark, or do I want it to be on the lighter side? I'm just cleaning the sponge right now just to get some of the paint off. And as you can see, I'm just dabbing this. I think I'll put a little bit more on the top here. So the reason why I'm dabbing it is because I want the paint to, or the wash to really soak into um, the crevices. I have the feeling I really want it to be darker on the inside here. And you know, making your own wash is easy to do too. There's no reason to buy washes. I got plenty of washes in my inventory, but I do sometimes like to make my own stuff though. And the reason, and it's so easy to do. You just take any paint, really. But I think, you know, getting, you know, paint at Walmart, some acrylic paint at Walmart, and then making your own wash is also a good way to go. Hmm. All right. It's looking interesting. It's a little bit darker in the front, which I like. Let's add some of the wash on the side here. So once this wash is dry, um, what I'll do is add a matte varnish on it just to protect it. Give it a minute there. I think I will do some more on the back here. And I think, I don't know, it looks to me like colors are starting to unify now. So I'm kind of glad that I had used the other alternative colors or different browns on the base here. Oops, sorry about that. I got the camera really close to the work here. So I have the tendency of hitting it by mistake, and I'm sorry about that. All right. I don't know. Sort of leaning in the direction like it's not dark enough. Or maybe I don't want to get too dark, but I also don't want it to be too light brown either. I think I'm just going to give this a minute to dry. Get it on everything. Yeah, let's give it a minute to dry now. I definitely want to be on darker on the inside here, I think, where this mask is. So the mask is going to be painted a gold color. Um, Think about gold, though. You're going to uh, have it um, painted black first in order to be a gold color that shines through. You never want to have something painted something other than black. I found that gloss black is the best choice for that. Although, to be honest, I've used flat black as well, and the gold color looks fine, even with a flat black. It's not ideal. I think you may end up adding a couple extra layers, but gloss black is the way to go. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Starting to get a little bit more interesting here. I think, anyways. I'm gonna have to clean this sponge up a little, but yeah. It looks good. At least I think it's looking good. And really, since it's my model, I'm the last person in the world to make a decision on whether it looks good or not. But yeah, I like having these different browns, and with the dark wash on top of it. All right, so I think I'm gonna give it a minute to dry and take a look at it, and then decide if I'm going to add some more brown on this. But I think it's at a good spot right now. It looks a little bit darker, and definitely, yeah. I think I want to have it a little bit darker on the inside there, where that mask is. But it looks, even the side looks pretty good. It looks very unified. So yeah, so I'm going to give it a couple of minutes to dry. So when I come back, I'll show you what it looks like with the paint on the mask as well. So I'll apply the gold. Like I said, a little bit of gloss black first on the mask, and then I'll apply the gold, and that'll help shine it. And the base will be done. Okay, I think I got the base at a good spot. So after my brown wash, I didn't think the front was dark enough. So I ended up using a dark gray wash on the front here. And I really applied it to uh, the, I don't know what this is called, but the structure in the front here, as well as the inside where the mask is, just to make that offset a little from the rest of the base colors. Because we got a lot of browns going on here. Um, Now for the mask, what I used was this gloss black primer, and I put 3 coats on there until it was totally black. And then to give it that bright, shiny gold, I use this liquid gold. So the liquid gold is a alcohol-based product, and I think it's very well when it comes to gold or silver. It's extremely bright with that black primer, and it really comes out well. So the base is now complete, and I really like how the browns look on this. The gray makes it really stand out, I think, a little bit more. So yeah, this is pretty much done, and everything is flat coated except for the mask. The mask, I have not applied any sort of gloss on that. I'm going to leave it its natural gold color, but this is pretty much done. So at this stage, the next step is going to be the figure itself, and I'll go over what I'm doing with that as well when we come back. So I got the face at a point where I'm about ready to add some freckling. So I'll bring you up to speed on what I did with his face. So first I applied the violet red on all the skin, and that includes the face and the neck region. And I wanted the violet red to be the initial color for the face because it can add a little bit of shadowing in all of the creases on his face. I just wanted to capture that look, and I think I've achieved that. So once that was dry, I then used the medium flesh tone. And what I did was I applied the medium flesh tone both up and down. And what I was trying to achieve with the medium flesh tone was to give the idea that he's from the Middle East, which is typically people from the Middle East have a darker skin tone than somebody from, let's say, in the northern climates like Europe or North America. So once that was dry, I then used the basic skin tone and I applied that downward because I want to add a little bit of shadowing in there. And then finally on his nose and his cheek area, I used a little bit of the light flesh. I just wanted to lighten that up just a little so that we get the idea that he's out in the sun. And now that that is all set up, I then applied a matte finish to all the skin to lock that in place. So I'm letting the matte finish dry. I just applied it a few minutes ago. Give it a little bit of time to dry because the next step is to add some freckling, which I'm going to be using this skin color. It's a dark, I wouldn't say a dark brown, but it's pretty close to what a freckle would look like. So I'm just going to freckle a little bit on the side of his face and nose. I don't want to get too much on there. Now, one of the reasons why I applied the matte finish to it was if the freckles are too big and I don't like the look, I can always remove it with just a Q-tip and water. Um, that's one of the reasons why you want to lock it in. But I think right now, from what I can tell, it looks pretty good in terms of shadowing. I'm very happy with the fact that I didn't get a lot of paint into the different parts of his face. I really wanted that shadowing to come through. So once the freckling is dry, then I'll be applying a matte finish on that, lock that in, and then I'll be using or mixing up my own blue, red, and yellow washes. So again, I'm using these type of paints to do my washes. So that's primary blue here, cadmium red for the red wash, and then finally for the yellow wash will be a primary yellow wash. Again, it's easier to use these paints that you can pick up anywhere. I think I picked these up at Walmart and just make your own washes rather than buying a wash. They do just as good a job, I think, than something you could buy off the shelf. And then so each layer of the washes I then lock into place with the matte varnish, and that will complete the face. So when I come back, I'll show you the skin once it's completely dry with the washes. Okay, pretty much got the face done. So I'll go over what I did for his face. And based on the reference material, I decided to go with a slightly younger look on him. So I started off with his lips, and I used a combination of beige red and the succulent skin, and just feathered that in and mixed it up until I got his lips dark enough so that it looks a little bit different from the rest of his skin tone. Now the beard, uh, based on the reference material, looks like it was a beige brown color. So that's the color I went with for the undertone. And I applied that to his beard as well as his eyebrows. Once that was dry, I then used the white gray on his beard and just dry brushed it, so it made it look a little bit older in appearance. I did notice, like in the center area, this is a little bit darker than the rest of the beard. So I pretty much tried to get as close as I can to the references. It's not perfect, but it's close enough. Now for his eyes, um, on the underside and the top part of his eyes, I use the Old Rose color. So that's my go-to color for eyes. And then the center part of the eyes, the white part of the eyes, again, white gray for that as well. Again, our eyes are not pure white, but they're also not really a dark gray either. So I think I got the eyes right. And then for the pupils, I end up going with some blue decals. I just hate painting eyes, so I went with the decals. So I've flat coated everything. Eventually I'll gloss in the eyes, but right now I flat coated everything just to get the colors, uh, locked in place. Because now I got to start doing the rest of his clothes, and that starts with the turban. And I've been going back and forth on that. Some pictures it almost looks like a NATO black color. However, I've found a few pictures where it looks to me like it's an imperial purple. So I think I'm going to go with the imperial purple for his turban. The rest of the clothes, it's a combination of purples and reds and golds and whites. So I'm going to play around with that, but I think I want to start with the turban first and lock that in place. There's going to be shadowing involved with the turban too. So I may end up starting off with the NATO black first and then dry brush the purple on top. I think I may end up giving that a shot, see how that goes. Because I definitely want to get all these shadows in here. I don't want to put a flat black on there because I think that's going to be a little too dark for the shadowing. But I think a NATO black is probably the way to go. And I'll see how the NATO black looks on him too. I may go back to looking at the references to decide if I want to just stick with NATO black. But I also like the idea of this really dark purple as well, sort of give it a different look. So when we come back, I'll show you the progress I'm making on his clothes. Okay, guys, we're making some progress on his clothing now. So I'll go over the color combinations that I used. And this is based on the images I saw online. Of course, when you look at the lighting for any picture, it's hard to tell the true color 100%. So you basically go the best you can do. So for his shirt, it was appeared to be red, although I think there may be some purple in between these particular lines. I'm going to take another look at the images online, but it looks like there might be some of that going on. So I may revisit his shirt. But I ended up settling on Sanctuary Red as the color for his shirt. Now the coat liner or the jacket liner is a dark gray, so I end up going with the dark gray from Tamiya. That seemed to match it really, really close to what I saw online. Now the outer garment, this I end up having to mix my own color, so I end up using a combination of the red and blue craft paint, and ended up with this color here, sort of a purplish color. It looked to me like it was a dark or a deep purple, so this is the closest I could get. The outer garment was also a purplish color. It was more like a deep wine color, So again, I mixed my own red and blue and came up with this outer garment color of a sort of a wine red. Now, his turban, originally I was going to go with the NATO black. That was my first choice because some of the images looked like it was NATO black. But as I started to look at the images even more closely, I realized that that would have been the wrong color combination. So I ended up having to mix my own color, which is this dark blue. So what I did was I used, I think it was a ratio of almost like 2 black to maybe 5 blue. I got it so the point where it was dark, and it's almost as dark as the NATO black, but it's a bluish color because when you look at the images online, you can see there's really blue in color. I would argue it could also be purple in color too. Unfortunately, I didn't have any colors, any pre-mixed paints that were as close to this as I could get, other than the NATO black. So I ended up going with this really dark blue color, and I think it comes really, really close. And like I said, it really looks like that it's closer to NATO black. So I've flat coated all this to protect it. The next step I'm going to do is I'm going to start shadowing the folds in the clothes as well as the turban, just to make it look more natural, that we got some folding going on his clothing. I don't think I need to do anything with the shirt or this outer garment. This outer garment is interesting. I've seen some people do gold there. Taking a look at the images online, it really looks more like it's an off-white color, as well as there's some other colors going on within some of this too. So I'm going to take another look at the images online, but I'm probably going to start off with an off-white before I start adding anything more to these raised designs on his outer garment. The inner garment's a different story. That's definitely gold. Now the buttons, interesting enough, are not gold. They look to be this color of purple, at least. So this is amethyst or anthracite. Sorry, I'm not pronouncing the word right. So I'm probably going to go with this for the buttons because that comes pretty close to what I could see online. So he is almost done. So got to do the shadowing. Need to paint the raised areas on the outer garment, and then address the inner garment, the shirt color. So yeah, we're getting there. So when I come back, I'll show you the progress I made so far in painting those areas. Okay, guys, so he's pretty much done now. So I'll go over the colors that I used, and it's based on the screen captures I saw online. I'm not going to say this is 100% accurate because, quite frankly, some of the embroidery on his outer shirt does not match what you see in the screen captures. So I wouldn't worry too much about getting the exact same colors. But overall, it looked like the embroidery is using an off-white color. And then you have a couple of areas where you're using some sort of purple color. So I end up going with a witch purple for that. I flat coated that, so it looks pretty uniform now. Now for his shirt, the gold, I guess it's gold embroidery on the shirt. I started off with a gloss black, and then I use gold. I will admit that it takes a while to paint all of this, and it's tough to get a decent circling on this. So I was really careful in brushing it on so that I didn't get any on the shirt. Now the buttons are appeared to be a shiny purple. Not too sure if they're just plastic buttons or what they are, but I end up using the Turbo Dork People Eater purple color just to make it look a little bit different than the gold embroidery that's going on his shirt. And then finally, I use a gloss varnish for his eyes. And now he's pretty much done. So I'll go over what it looks like with the figure on the base. And here's Prince Koura from the Golden Voyages of Sinbad, now completed. He's on his base, and I think it came out pretty good. He looks pretty angry, I guess you could say, the way he's looking. So, and I guess that's probably what we were after in terms of the sculpt. So Jeff Yagher had done the sculpt, and I think it's a very close likeness. And certainly when you have the sculpt, painting it makes it a lot easier. So a couple things I just want to remind you or point out. So in terms of the figure on the base, I actually added a magnet on the underside. That way it's magnetized, it attaches, and I can detach it and box it up separately down the road. The other reminder is using that UV resin filler. It came out pretty good. It matches what's going on in the base here. And I really like how I have the back here attached to the base so that it looks like it's all one piece when it was really two separate pieces. So he looks pretty good. And this was a fun build. Now, I will have to say that there is a little bit of cleanup that's needed, and that's only because of the molding process. Um, and, but that's true of any model kit. You're always going to do a little bit of cleanup. You're going to do filling. You're going to be doing a little bit of sanding and filing. Overall, I don't think I really sanded this per se. I'm trying to remember, but I might have only sanded like when I joined the two pieces together, maybe. Certainly not on the figure itself. I didn't do any sanding. So, but there was a little bit of filling in I had to do in a couple of these areas. So until next time, stay safe and join me for my next modeling adventure.
It's alive. Oh, it's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.